A lot of talk this week. You've been on a couple times, I think, talking about this new deal where the Electricities. Is it Electricities or what?
It's actually the Power Agency. It's the North Carolina Eastern Municipal Power Agency.
And that's different than Electricities?
Yeah, it's Electricities is the umbrella organization, and you have two power agencies under that.
And essentially what this means is there are a bunch of local municipalities in eastern North Carolina, from Rocky Mount all the way down to New Bern, and just about everything in between.
All the way up to Elizabeth City. I mean, we're all over eastern North Carolina.
So it goes up to the northeast as well?
Yes, it does.
And you guys came together in the 70s. And the reason for it was to try to co-op together to try to be able to essentially get lower utility rates.
That's right.
By buying into some of these nuclear plants. And we've talked about this over the years. That's kind of backfired. I mean, it hasn't really been that great a deal over the long term, has it?
And I think I said this the last time I was on the air with you. This is a great deal we're working on right now, and probably 20 years from now, people are going to say, "Why in the world did they do that?" Because the world changes.
It looks like a good deal now.
It looks like a great deal now for our customers and for the other members of the agency as well. And I'm really excited about it. And I don't agree with everything that Senator Newton said yesterday. If I agree with everything he said, we'd both be wrong. But I want to thank Senator Newton and Senator Lewis Pate and the other senators who have sponsored this bill on the Senate side. And, of course, Brian Brown has worked tirelessly to help us on the House side as well. And Susan Martin and our entire delegation, and they've done a great job.
Now, for folks who don't know what's going on, there's been a deal consummated between these local municipalities and Duke Power for these municipalities to sell their percentage of these power plants to Duke Power.
Correct.
But the question mark in the deal was, what is Duke Power now going to sell energy back to us for, right?
That's right.
And so you come to an agreement, but it has to be ratified by the General Assembly, and the Senate and the House have companion bills going through the legislature right now. And now you're basically a public employee. Buck Newton, who was on the show yesterday, is a politician, so he may have created some expectations. I won't use the numbers he used again, but he made it sound like we're getting ready to all get this big reduction in our utility bill, and I know you want to respond to that.
Well, he was right. There are going to be communities, and what he said was you'll have some members of the agency that will be between 5 and 10%. And he said you'll have other members of the agency that will be between 10 and 20%, and he is exactly right on the wholesale cost of power side. So that is a major portion of our rate is our wholesale cost of power. But how the communities choose to use that reduction and use that as a strategy moving forward is going to vary widely. Our board
and each individual community gets to make that decision.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's a decision that we made at a power agency level because heretofore we've had a rate strategy at the power agency level because we own the plants and we had to. Moving forward, we've got a contract with Duke that's based on an average wholesale cost of power. And that's a formula rate. That rate will change every year. As you know, there are a lot of regulations being put forth by the EPA regarding power plants, and the forecast is that will cause rates to steadily increase over time. That's no surprise, I don't think, to anyone.
Yeah.
If you look worldwide, our cost of power in the United States is very low, particularly here in the Southeast. We have a great cost of power looking around the country. So if you choose your strategy and you choose to take all those gains in the very first year, the very next year you're likely going to have a rate increase because the cost of wholesale power is going to go up.
Right.
Our board has taken a much longer approach to start looking at rate design so that our customers here will have a market competitive rate. I appreciate what Brian said earlier, and he's exactly right. Over the years, different communities have managed their retail strategies differently. Greenville, if you look at a typical residential bill in Greenville and you compare that to Duke Progress, there's a differential of 12.2%. Some of the other communities are as high as 20, 30, even 35% in that differential when you look at those typical residential bills.
Of course, we're on in New Bern this morning as well, and it's been a big issue in New Bern. The city council members have campaigned on it, mayors have campaigned on it, all saying, I'm going to do what I can to lower utility rates. Truth is, nothing could ever really be done until this deal was struck. Exactly and so now they do have some maybe some leverage and some opportunity to do that down in New Bern. But what I hear you saying from the Greenville's perspective is that, and Brian Brown said this earlier this morning, compared to these other communities, and again, you readily said that that our rates here are generally higher than our neighbors who are not involved in this group.
That's correct.
But not as high as others, and so you've already kind of kept rates lower here. And I know a lot of people look at their utility bill and say, well, how can that be possible?
Yes.
But I mean, nobody likes to pay the utility bill.
No, I don't. I pay mine just like you do, and I'm a customer of Greenville Utilities, so I
Right.
want to make sure that we've got good rates.
Yeah. All right. So I would guess that you would not want to give a percentage of what your expectations are for Greenville, or do you have some sort of a prediction?
Well, I think that I think our customers will see a rate increase that will show up on their bill. I'm a little hesitant right now.
You mean decrease?
I mean a decrease. I'm sorry. A decrease, a rate decrease. Please don't kill me. Yes, a rate decrease.
Yeah.
I would say probably in the 5 to 7% range that we'll be able to put forth. I feel comfortable saying that, but I also feel comfortable saying that by doing that, that's going to allow us to deploy a strategy that will keep rates level without rate increases for the next 5 to 6 to 7 years.
Now, we also need to talk about last night's meeting. Was it last night?
Yesterday afternoon.
Yesterday afternoon's meeting, and I know Chip Little is here, who's the vice chairman of your board. This morning's newspaper carrying a story that you are likely to have a rate increase very soon.
However, it is less than what we had forecast.
Okay.
We have forecast for water a 7.5% increase. The board, we have a finance committee on our board that works with us on our budget, and we're very fortunate to have good business people on that, like Chip and like Don Mills and like others in our community who have experience in business, and they help us develop our strategies. But we're changing our financing plan for our capital projects. We're a capital-intensive business. We've got $400 million worth of assets in the ground and in the air and in plants, and you have to maintain those. That's a lot of money to have invested. You want to maintain those investments, and our budget is driven primarily by capital. So we're changing our financing strategy just a little bit, and we were able to decrease those projected rate increases by 2%. So we're looking at a 5.5% water and a 6.5% sewer right now.
And when will that take place?
It would be July with our budget.
All right. Now, when do you think this deal with Duke Power, now that the legislature is obviously getting ready to ratify it, and I don't think the governor will have any trouble
I don't
signing
think so either.
it. This is one of those bills that everybody agrees on because it's good for them politically. When do you think that once the bill is signed, and I think Buck Newton said yesterday he's hoping it'll get signed by the end of this month, when do you think that this deal can be put to bed and we'll start to see the decreases coming in?
Well, the deal that we have with Duke, it very specifically spells out that we have 90 days from the time the legislation is signed by the governor to close the deal. So that would put us the end of June, 1st of July, getting the deal closed. So I would think that with that being closed, to start taking power under the new contract would be sometime this summer or early fall.
All right. Good news.
Yep.
Tony
great news.
Cannon, Greenville Utilities Commission.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.